welcome to my Thermomix demo. Thank you very much for joining me. It's lovely to see you. I'm just going to be talking about Thermomix today and just let you guys know how cool it is. So what do you get with your Thermomix? You get everything you need. There's no hidden extras. It's all combined within the price. Sorry. Sorry. Live video, there was bound to be one thing that I'd forget. So this is the Varoma basket which sits on top, which you can use when you're doing any integrated cooking. So if you're steaming some meat or vegetables or anything like that, then you would use this on top. It has a couple of different compartments with it. You also get a steaming basket, which is really good for boiling eggs, making pasta, or if you're straining something that's in the bottom, you would use that. You're also going to get your spatula, and you also get a butterfly whisk, which you use in certain recipes. So what I'm going to make for you today is a salad, and then we're going to do some focaccia bread, and then we're going to make a stock paste. All right, so let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is it's a broccoli and red pepper salad, which is absolutely yummy. So when you're cooking with Thermomix, everything's already on the screen and you can literally just go step by step when you're cooking. So it makes it really super easy. It's child friendly and everything you need is basically just here. The other brilliant thing about Thermomix is that you can use something called Cookie Do. So it's a subscription, it's £30 for the year, works out about 50p a week. So there's 20,000 recipes on Cookie Do, and there's just tons and tons of stuff that you can make. And obviously in the situation at the moment where we're in lockdown and we're having to feed our families more than we would normally feed them and think of new ideas, that's why Thermomix is super useful, because it just takes that whole thought process away and you can just relax a bit. So the way you would use Cookie Do is you might sit down with a glass of wine on a Sunday night, look through all the recipes, decide what you want to cook for the week, and then you basically select the recipes. They will appear directly onto your Thermomix, but what you can also do is create a whole shopping list, and then you can look at the shopping list, and if you've already got some of the ingredients, you can just untick them, and then you can email the shopping list to yourself so that you can either go to the shops and get your stuff or place your online order. And what that's going to do is mean that you're going to save loads and loads of money, because you're not going to be going to the shops and buying loads of extra stuff that you don't need. So when you come to make your food, it's all in date order, so you can literally plan for a whole week, decide what you're going to make, and it makes it so much less complicated than thinking, oh my God, what on earth am I going to cook? So you're switching it on, you're coming up, you've got your dates ready, and you're just literally clicking on that date, and you go, oh, I'm going to make this in the morning, this for lunch, and this in the evening. You press the button, the recipe comes up, it's step-by-step instructions, you can get the kids involved, and it's just a fantastic tool, particularly now in the lockdown. All right, so going back to what we're going to make now, we're going to make this broccoli and red pepper salad. So the first thing it wants me to do is add 300 grams of broccoli. So obviously that's pre-washed and just chopped up a little bit. So next, then we're adding some red pepper. This has just been chopped a tiny bit and de-seeded. And then next it wants some apple. So I've just cut this into quarters. You can use any apples that you have. I've just put in some Royal Gala. Okay, and then some sort of nuts. So whatever you really want in here is absolutely fine. The recipe calls for pine nuts, but you can also use sunflower seeds or cashew nuts. Kind of whatever you've got going in the cupboard is fine. So it's 30 grams of pine nuts. And then we're going to add some olive oil. Now it's good to use a good quality olive oil here if you can, because obviously it's a fresh salad and you want something that's going to be really nice and healthy. So when you're adding liquids to the Thermomix, just don't go too quickly, because obviously it's easier to take out anything solid that you put in, a little bit more difficult to take out a liquid. So that's 25 grams of olive oil. All right, next up it wants some cider vinegar. I haven't got any cider vinegar, so I'm going to use a red wine vinegar. You can also use balsamic or white balsamic or any other version of vinegar that you happen to have in your store cupboard. And that's just 15 grams of vinegar. Okay, teaspoon of honey. Option here to go with the vegan recipe that I made the other day, if you wanted to. Super easy to make your own honey. Another good excuse if you've run out because of the lockdown situation. And again, using various other things here if you wanted to, agave syrup, maple syrup, whatever other sweet treat that you wanted to put in there, or alternatively, and this is one of the amazing benefits of Thermomix, just leave it out completely if you don't want to have it in there and you don't want something sweet, or you don't want to be giving sweet stuff to your children, that's absolutely fine. Okay, teaspoon of mustard, option here to use various different mustards. I've gone for a Dijon, so I'm just going to pop a teaspoon and a half of Dijon mustard in. And then a teaspoon of salt. Again, option to leave this out if you're making this for children. And some pepper. Okie-doke. So now it's telling you, because it literally does step by step, it's telling you to put the measuring cup inside the lid. Place the lid on top. Press the next button, and when you're using cookie dough recipes, everything's pre-programmed, so it's really easy. It literally tells you how long you're going to cook it for, whether you're going to have any temperature, and what speed to turn the blades to. So it really is idiot proof. So this is going to be going for 7 seconds, and it's speed 4. So I literally just have to turn the dial to number 4. This is when you can take an opportunity to spend a couple of seconds clearing up. Our broccoli and red pepper salad finished. So that's what it looks like. I'm going to put some in a bowl so that you can see. And that was probably on record the fastest salad anyone has ever made. And there you go. Broccoli and red pepper salad with pine nuts, ready for lunch, made in 4 seconds, obviously apart from chucking everything in. Okay, so next up, I'm just going to put the rest of this in a bowl for later, and then I'm going to quickly clean the Thermomix ready for the next item that we're going to make. So we're going to make some focaccia bread next. You can make all sorts of different breads and doughs in your Thermomix, so it's really good for making things like pizza dough. In fact, any dough. If you wanted to make your own pasta, you can make your own pasta. So whether you're making scones or any kind of bread, there's hundreds of recipes on the cookie dough, or there's lots of platforms already online where people have already made lots of other different types of stuff. So Thermomix is super easy to clean. There's actually a cleaning function which you can use on the Thermomix, which I'll show you when we make the bread in a minute. But if you're making something like this, it's really simple just to give it a quick rinse out. Dry it. And then, oops, you're ready to get on with the next recipe. Okay. So, as I said, we're going to make focaccia bread. Some of you might have seen the bread that I made a few weeks ago. And you can make focaccia art. It's a thing now, to make art out of bread. So once you've made the bread, you can just choose all your toppings and you can make a picture to put onto it, which is super tasty. I made a olive tree. So I just placed some sun-dried tomatoes onto it and used basil for some leaves, and then placed some olives onto the actual tree, and it looks pretty cool. If you want to see it, you'll be able to look down on my page and see some pictures of it. All right, so next thing we're going to make, so we're just going to go back to our home screen. And then we're going to go back to this screen, and then this is where I was talking about earlier, where you have your recipes all pre-planned. So if you click on here, it says my week, and then everything you've already pre-programmed in when you were sitting having a glass of wine on Sunday night, choosing what you were going to make, is all pre-programmed and listed here. Okay, so I'm just going to go into my recently cooked, because I've put in all the recipes that I'm going to be making this morning. So the next thing we're going to do is the focaccia bread. All right. So, oops. All right, we're going to restart the recipe and we're going to press start cooking. All right, so the first thing it wants me to do is oil a large bowl, ready for the focaccia to ferment and for it to prove. So I've already done that. And then the next thing we need to do is put in our flour. So there is flour reappearing in the supermarkets, which is good to know. So this is just some strong white bread flour, which I got from Waitrose yesterday. So another cool thing is that the Thermomix, you just lift it up a bit, thank you. Another cool thing is that the Thermomix actually weighs all the ingredients for you. So you may not have seen that as I was whizzing through the salad, but obviously I don't want to keep your guys tied up for too long. So I just wanted to get all the ingredients in, but it does weigh everything for you and you should be able to see that now. So I'm just putting in the flour. I've no idea how much I need as I'm putting it in at the moment. So what I want to get to is 500 grams. Okay, we're on 400, a little bit more. There we go. All right, that's just gone slightly over. Brilliant thing. You can just take it out and get it back to where you wanted. All right, lovely. So we've got 500 grams of flour. And then option here, this is optional, but it does help to activate the yeast. So I would definitely add it in, and that's a teaspoon of sugar. Okay, and then if you're lucky enough to get some fresh yeast, you just need 20 grams, but pretty much all the bakeries are hanging on to their yeast at the moment, so it's probably highly unlikely. So instead we're going to use dried yeast, and we're going to use a teaspoon and a half of dried yeast. Lovely. Okay, and then next, 30 grams of olive oil. Again, as it's a focaccia, you want to use a good quality olive oil. So 30 grams, remembering not to let it pour in too quickly. I find that a glug like that is a couple of grams. Just a tiny bit more. Lovely. Okay, then it's asking for 350 grams of warm water. So I'm just going to pour this in. So I just boiled the kettle earlier, placed a little bit of water in and then added some cold to it. Okay, slightly underestimated what we needed, so I'm just going to pop a tiny bit more in. There we go, 350. Okay, and again, that warm water is just going to help to activate your yeast. So we want a teaspoon of sea salt. This is finely ground Himalayan pink sea salt, but any salt will do. And then we're going to pop the lid on. And then it's pre-programmed, so it's going to be 20 seconds, and I just have to turn the dial to speed 6. You might be wondering, well, I'm on my own, I live on my own, what is a Thermomix any good for me? But the thing that I find, because I'm on my own sometimes, is that actually you can't be bothered to cook. And the really good thing is that because this is so quick and simple, you will cook, because A, it's enjoyable, and B, you can make something that's quite big, and you can make some extra portions, and you can put them in the freezer, and then have them for another day. So you are still able to eat fresh and healthy food, instead of just thinking, oh, I really can't be bothered, and go and buying yourself ready meals. Alright, so that has all mixed. I knead for 2 minutes. So again, it's already pre-programmed, it's set up on the kneading function. I just have to turn the dial once and it's going to start kneading. Okay, so who else is Thermomix good for? Thermomix is really good for new mums. I know there might be some people out there who've recently had babies and you're going to need to be weaning that baby soon, and this is brilliant for making baby food. Also great for children who are a little bit older and you're having trouble getting them to eat vegetables. There's loads of sauces and things you can make with hidden vegetables. I quite often make a spaghetti bolognese sauce that has literally every vegetable under the sun in the sauce, and when I've blended it, it just looks like a red sauce, and the kids eat it and they love it, and they have no idea what goes inside it, so they get about like 10 of their 5 a day in one sauce in the evening. The other thing you can do with that sauce, if you don't want your children eating meat all the time, is you can use things like lentils. So you can add a can of lentils into it, so they're getting their protein, not having to actually eat meat, and getting all their vegetables. So there's loads of things you can do like that if you've got families to feed. And particularly, again, at the moment, just getting your ideas together about what on earth am I going to make for all these hungry people. I'm finding it really tiring, and I'm sure you are too, and that's why the Thermomix is so fantastic, because it speeds everything up, gives you an opportunity to go to, you know, the shops knowing what you're going to buy, or placing your order online, and you're saving huge amounts of money. So the other group of people that it's great for is, so there's obviously families and new mothers and individuals, but also for couples. I've had a couple of sales recently for couples because they're together, they're at home at the moment, and they both like cooking, but this is just taking their cooking to a completely different level. So if you're a good cook, it will turn you into a brilliant cook, and if you are already a really good cook, you'll become a master chef. Talking of MasterChef, you might have seen these Thermomixes on some of the MasterChef programs. In fact, they're on all the tables, and there's a good reason for that. Right, this is finished, so let's have a little look what's happened here. Okay, so that has been kneading for 2 minutes, and I've got a beautifully kneaded dough ready to go. All right, so we're going to transfer this sticky dough to the bowl. Now, to open up your Thermomix, you just need to twist off the bottom and take this off. Really good about the Thermomix is, unlike other blenders and other types of these kind of machines, they come with loads of different components, and the Thermomix just has one set of blades for everything. So whether you're making soups or stews or cakes or bread or anything, there's one set of blades, and they're really easy to clean. And when you're making doughs and things, you can just take the bottom off, pop the blades through the hole, and then just get your dough out. And then you can just take out, I'm just going to grab myself a bit of flour for my hands to make it a little bit easier to control this dough. And then we're just going to take out the blades. Now, a focaccia is much stickier than a normal dough because it's got it's a really juicy kind of bread, as you'll know, I'm sure, when you've eaten it before. So when you're making other kinds of breads and doughs, you don't get this sticky. But this would be a good one to do with the children, because then they can get involved and get their crazy sticky on. Okay, so hang on. I'm just going to get the rest of this dough out of here. And then I'm going to show you a quick way to clean the Thermomix. Myself very sticky here. Grab a bit more flour and get this off me. Okay, so this dough is going to need to prove between 2 and 3 hours. So we're just going to put it somewhere that it can be undisturbed, and just put a wet tea cloth on top of it, and then let it rise. And once that's risen, you just want to smash the air out of it. Put it onto a baking tray, put a little bit of oil onto the baking tray, and then poke a few holes in the top of it, just with your fingers, and then add your toppings. So as I was talking about earlier, you can make a picture with your focaccia art if you wanted to. Get a bit creative with it, and then place it in the oven. So you could use some olives, some basil, any number of herbs. You could use any other types of vegetables. You can use onions and all sorts of things like that. Right, so I'm just going to get some of the dough got onto the components of the blades. So I don't want to put that inside my Thermomix. So I'm just cleaning that base bit off. Okay, and then I'm just going to show you how the Thermomix can do a self-clean for itself. Alright, so what we need to do is place the base back on, very important. Add some water in, add a little dot of washing up liquid. Okay, place it back on. And then, right, so we're finished with this recipe, so we're going to go to the home screen, and when you scroll that way, all the other functions appear for the Thermomix. You can actually use it for a kettle these days, which is really crazy because it has the capacity to boil the water. So that's one of the functions. But at the moment, we're going to use the self-clean, the pre-clean, which is here. Okay, so it's saying it's going to do it for approximately 5 minutes, but I'm going to cut that short. That's basically because it hasn't decided how dirty it is at the moment. It has got this artificial intelligence where it can decide how dirty it is. So when you make things like honeycomb, and you've made the honeycomb and obviously it's solidifying really quickly, and obviously that would be really difficult to clean off, you put the pre-clean mode on, and then what it does is decides how dirty it is and how hard the caramel is and how long it needs to clean for. As we've just got some dough in there, it won't need to be cleaning for that long. Okay, so we'll just leave that to do its thing for a moment. This is looking lovely. So I'm just going to bring this together a little bit. Obviously the oil in the base of the bowl is just going to help that to bring it together. So there we go. There is our bread ready to prove. So I'm just going to leave that and pop a tea towel over it, 2 to 3 hours, and then as I said, you just want to smash it out, poke the things in, poke the holes in, put some of your ingredients on top, and then pop it in the oven. It just needs about 20 minutes to cook. Absolutely gorgeous, and the tastiest focaccia I have ever tasted. Kids loved it, everyone in the house loved it, so very good thing to make. Right, just while that's doing that, I'm just going to briefly talk to you about some of the other things you can make in Thermomix. You can make, I've got a list here, you've got soups, stews, cakes, you can make your own butter, you can make your own yogurt, you can make your own milks from nuts and things, you can make sauces, so things like mayonnaise and stuff, you can make all your own curries and takeaways, and obviously at the moment that's a huge plus. When I made my first curry in the Thermomix, I was so impressed with it, I did actually think I would never need to buy another takeaway curry again. When you taste the difference, it's so pure when you've made it, especially when you've made it from scratch and you make your own paste. I'm going to be making a stock paste next, and you'll get an idea of what it's like to make a paste for a curry. Okay. So, that has basically cleaned off all of the dough around my blades for me. So I'm just going to give it a quick rinse round now, and then we'll be ready to make the stock paste. You can actually buy a second bowl if you need to for your Thermomix, but that is an added luxury which you don't necessarily need to have. Sorry about the tilt in the camera, I think my cameraman's arm is starting to give up a little bit. Okay, so making a stock paste is the last thing I'm going to make with you today. And I chose a stock paste because it shows you how you can make food from scratch. So anyone who's really healthy out there and enjoys thinking or knowing what's in your food, this is a great example of that, because when we're cooking from scratch, we know what's going in, there's no added ingredients, there's no hidden nasties, no carcinogens, and we know exactly that our food is where our food's been sourced and what is going in. So that's one of the things I really love most about the Thermomix, is cooking from scratch and knowing what I'm giving my family is all decent quality ingredients. So making this stock paste is really cool. It absolutely changes, game changer for when you're making anything else. And when you make this stock, you can basically put it into ice cubes and then put it in the freezer. And then every time you're making something, whether it's a soup or a stew, bolognese, etc., where you need some stock, you just pop one of the ice cubes out the tray and pop it straight into your dish, and the flavour is absolutely amazing. The other cool thing about this stock is that you can use any vegetables that you've got lying around. It doesn't have to be as per the recipe. You can use whatever you've got in the fridge that's actually just starting to be, you know, to the point where actually you don't really want to be able to eat it, or you're not going to eat it in time within that week. Pop it into your stock to make your stock paste, and then it's not being wasted. All right, so I'm just going to go back to my recently cooked, and I'm going to bring up the stock paste. So you can actually also make various different stocks with meat and stuff. And when I was talking earlier, I was saying about making pastes for curries and things. So this would be the same process for making your pastes for curries. So you can do like an amazing chicken tikka paste, and you just put everything in to begin with. You're going to toast the spices, and then you're going to grind the spices. You're going to add all the wet ingredients, all the oils and the garlic and stuff, and then you're just going to let it cook down for about 40 minutes, blend it, and then similar process, put it into stock cubes, put it in the freezer, and then when you want a quick chicken tikka, you can make it. Or even if you wanted to do like a salmon tikka, you can get some salmon, get some of the stock cubes out, mix them with a little yogurt, and then just place it on top of the salmon and put it under the grill, and you've got salmon tikka in seconds. Make some rice quickly, and you've got a fast, healthy meal that's absolutely delicious. So, making this stock paste, and as I said, you can make it from meat, so you could do chicken or beef or lamb, whatever other flavours you wanted. So this recipe has some cheese in it at the beginning, and I don't eat cheese, so I'm just going to absolutely leave that out. Another bonus with the Thermomix, pick and choose what you want to add or leave out. Absolutely up to you, and you can change up the recipes. So first thing is 200 grams of celery stalks. So I'm just going to put those in, and they've just been chopped into pieces about that big. Next up, we want 250 grams of carrots. So I'm putting those in again, not peeling them, just giving them a little chop, just taking the ends off. And then I've got 100 grams of onions. Use white onions, shallots, whatever you've got in the cupboard is fine. And then we've got some tomatoes. I had a really nice beef tomato, which again was getting to that point in the fridge where I had planned to make it for a salad, and I wasn't going to be able to make it for a salad now, so I'm just going to put it into my stock. So that's my tomatoes. And then 150 grams of courgettes. And then recipe calls for just 1 clove of garlic, but I love garlic, so I'm putting 3 cloves of garlic in. Again, option to leave it out if you prefer. And then 50 grams of mushrooms, just pop those in whole. And then you can put a dried bay leaf in if you want. I'm not going to put one in. And then it asks for some fresh herbs, but due to the lockdown situation, I haven't got any fresh herbs, but I'm going to be using these ones, which I've got already dried. So I'm just going to put in some parsley. Let me take that lid off actually and make it a little bit easier to put it in. So just a sprinkle of parsley, the same of sage. And by all means, if you're growing your own herbs, fantastic. Or if you are able to find them in the shops, then that's brilliant too. And we're going to put some basil in and some rosemary. Okay. So, placing the lid on. And then I'm just going to use the spatula just to help to agitate the vegetables. The spatula is really cool. It's got this little shelf here which will stop the spatula going down into the blades. So this is a point where you can involve the children if you've got any. Okay, so it's going to be 10 seconds on speed 7. Done. Now, I didn't show you, but the vegetables were right up to the top of the bowl. Okay, so next it just wants you to scrape down the sides, but I'm just going to show you what that's done to those vegetables in 10 seconds. They are absolutely mushed down and ready to make, and the smell is incredible. Okay, so just using the spatula, just scraping down any bits that jumped up in the process of chopping. And then next we're going to add 120 grams of salt, again leaving this out or reducing it if you wanted to. So I've just got some pink Himalayan salt here, but any salt will do, and even if it was finely ground already, that's fine too. Okay, there's 120 grams there. All right, next up it asks for some dry white wine or some water. I haven't got any white wine, so I'm going with the water. I'm sure that most of you have probably drunk all your wine too, so just use some water, that's fine. So there we go, just 30 grams of water. And then a tablespoon of olive oil. Any oil will do for this, doesn't have to be your finest olive oil. Just a vegetable oil is fine. Oops. Okay, and then we're going to be placing our simmering basket inside, because this just stops anything splashing out over the top, because you're going to be using the lid without the measuring cup inside it. So that's going to just allow some of the steam to escape, and then the stock can reduce down nicely. So this is pre-programmed as usual. It's 25 minutes. It's taking it all the way up to the highest cooking setting, and then the speed is going to be speed 2. So I'm placing the lid on, and then just turning the dial to speed 2. So that's just going to carry on cooking. So that is everything I wanted to show you today. Hopefully you've had a chance to see how amazing the Thermomix is. I probably haven't told you everything that I wanted to tell you, because this is a live video, and obviously there's going to be some things that perhaps I've missed out. But if you've got any questions, please do contact me. You can PM me or direct message me, whatever you like, and most of you may already know me, so you might have my phone number. Feel free to give me a ring, send me a text, and we can have a chat. So you're probably wondering at this point how much it costs to get your hands on a Thermomix. So first of all, I just want to say, you're going to be saving so much money by buying a Thermomix. I know that I definitely have done so. When you know what you're going to cook and you pre-plan it, you're not going to the supermarket buying loads of extra junk, and you're not throwing away any food waste. My food waste bin is only ever full of vegetable peelings. There's nothing that I throw away because I've ended up wasting it because I bought it and I haven't had time to eat it or didn't, do anything. So you will 100% save money. Secondly, the cost of it is the equivalent of a cup of coffee per day for 1 year. So not only will you have saved that money back anyway, it is only going to cost you what would be the price of a cup of coffee for 1 day, every day for 1 year. Okay, so there's a couple of options. You can pay for Thermomix straight out, or there's finance options, and at the moment they've got a reduced finance option. I believe it's 5.9%, and you can spread that over 1, 2 or 3 years. So the full price is £1,149, and some of you might be like, oh my god, that sounds like loads of money, but I promise you, within a year you'll have made that money back with the amount of money you'll save on the food that you're making. You'll be a lot less stressed because you'll have all these fantastic recipes at your disposal. There's 20,000 recipes online. Now I just want to briefly show you some of the books. Just make a little space here. So you get one cooking book with your Thermomix, and then obviously you have access to Cookie Do. If I can lift these up, oh, this is going to be my workout for the day. Okay, these recipe books that I have are all available on Cookie Do. Every time Thermomix create a new cookery book, they wait 6 months and then they add it to Cookie Do. They've got their offices in Ascot have got and designing new things to making the Thermomix, and they're adding them to Cookie Do all the time. So as I said earlier, that subscription is £30 for a year, works out about 50p for the week. When you buy a Thermomix, you get 6 months free access to the Cookie Do, and you can decide whether you actually want to use it. But also, there's loads of platforms online. There's loads of people in Australia. I mean, Australia is massive about Thermomix. actually they almost like look at you like open mouthed if you say you A, don't know what the Thermomix is, or B, haven't got one. For them it's the equivalent of a microwave. Also in Italy it's very much the same. Not so much over in England yet because it's quite new to England and not that many people hear about it, but I bet after today, if you haven't heard about it before, you will start hearing about it. And I would just like to say, for any of you watching, if you've got a friend who's got a Thermomix, don't take my word for it. Go and ask them, do you like your Thermomix? I've had quotes from these people that say, I literally can't live without my Thermomix. So that's it, guys. I'm going to let this stock cook and then I'm going to put it in the freezer. I'm going to eat my yummy salad and make my focaccia for dinner tonight.